भद्रं कर्णैभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवा स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let us now pray together. We offer our salutations to the all-loving being who endows all beings with consciousness. We meditate on the Lord who is the origin of the universe. Lord, thou abidest in all, thou art all, thou assumest all forms, thou art the origin and goal of all. Thou art the self of all, thou art existence, knowledge and bliss. Salutations unto thee. May the world be peaceful. May the wicked become gentle. May all creatures think of mutual welfare. May their minds be occupied with peace, peace, peace be unto all. Dear friends, we have been performing special worship to Sri Ramakrishna on the occasion of celebration of his birth anniversary. And from the morning, different programs have been happening as a part of offering to Sri Ramakrishna. And now we will concentrate during this celebration on understanding and absorbing the great message emanating from the life and teachings of Sri Ramakrishna through a symposium where two wonderful speakers will be giving their thoughts. They are not only well versed with the life and teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, but have been practicing these teachings for a long time and have been guiding also people how to practice these things. And we are very fortunate to have these two speakers today. Dr. Mahendra Jani, I will introduce them at appropriate time, of course, and Sara F. But before that, we shall have an opening song. This is a very beautiful prayer written by a great disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, who actually stayed over 20 years in United States as the head of the Vedanta Society of New York. His name, Swami Abhedananda, a great composer of Sanskrit hymns and a wonderful orator. So we shall begin with that song and then we shall proceed to the symposium proper.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Thanks, dear Tapos, and all the friends who participated in this music. Now I request the speakers for this symposium to come and take their seats on the stage. Sara and Mahendra bhai, please come. Sara F has been a regular devotee since her early childhood. She participated in children's camp in way back in Marshfield and has been attending the Vedanta classes, services, and while she was going through her studies, and now also she regularly does her spiritual practice and attends the program. So when I requested her that will you speak for a little while, she readily usually agrees. So this time too, she agreed to speak. And sometimes people say when I ask them, there is not much of a choice to say no. So better agree quickly. So, so thank you, Sara, and she will be the first presenter.
Hello, friends. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So we are here to celebrate the birthday of Sri Ramakrishna. And a lot of times I wish that I knew what it was really like to be with him and to sit around with him in the room with all of his disciples. But fortunately, through reading the gospel, we can get a glimpse of what that was really like. Certainly, he had a lot of serious and deep lessons to impart, but there was no shortage of laughter in the rooms whenever Sri Ramakrishna gave his lessons. Sri Ramakrishna had a very attractive personality. He asked one of his disciples, M, "Can you tell me why people feel so attracted to this place," meaning himself? "What does it mean?" And M responded, "It reminds me of an episode in Krishna's life at Vrindavan. Krishna transformed himself into the cowherd boys and the calves, whereupon the cows began to feel more strongly attracted to the cowherd boys, the gopis, and the calves." He was also asked, "What hope is there for worldly people?" And he responded that it was important for worldly people to come from time to time in the company of holy men, which I guess is why we're here today. Thank you. Okay. When you read the gospel, there are many instances where laughter is mentioned. Laughter can be a sign of divine ecstasy, bhava. Sri Ramakrishna serves as an example of divine ecstasy and divine moods. He describes a Paramahamsa, an enlightened person, as having the gait of a child, a face beaming with laughter, and eyes swimming in joy. And he gives many such examples of people like this. He describes the Saint Chaitanya as having laughed and wept and danced in divine ecstasy, and as a personification of ecstatic love. After giving this description, Sri Ramakrishna himself falls into a divine mood and begins to dance and sing in this way. He also describes Krishna in song as lost in a state of blissful ecstasy. In an exuberance of joy, he laughs and weeps and dances and sings. Sri Ramakrishna describes God as being directly present in the man who has pure heart of a child and who laughs and cries and sings in divine ecstasy. So this might be in contrast to what we sometimes think of a very serious, holy person. Sometimes we might think that a spiritually enlightened person is very serious and they're very learned, but the mark of a really spiritually advanced person is their joyous mood. I also think that laughter is related to the bhakti approach. When we laugh with Sri Ramakrishna, it happens very easily and spontaneously, and it's very intense. The disciples laugh because they enjoy being around him, and it centers around the personality of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna recommended the bhakti approach for the Kali Yuga age. He said of the bhakti approach that it is the easiest and most natural way to reach the divine end in view. And the bhakti approach means that you cultivate love for God as both the means and the end to God realization. And this is natural for humans because we already become easily attached to things. We can just redirect this attachment towards God. At other times, Sri Ramakrishna laughs at us ourselves. He has compassion for humanity, but he can't help laughing at our behavior whenever we act absurdly. It's not a cruel laughter, but it's like a mother laughing at a little child who doesn't understand to act better. Sri Ramakrishna describes in song how the Divine Mother laughs at people caught in her play. He uses parables to show us how absurd human nature makes us act. One example of a parable he gives in the gospel is when he tries to explain the importance of renunciation, which he does quite often. He gives a parable about a farmer who has to irrigate his field. The farmer keeps being called by his family to come back in and to stop his work, but he keeps turning them away. So that is an example of someone who renunciates well. And then he gives another example of a farmer who, when he's called by his wife to come back in, stops his work and doesn't protest very much and says, "Oh well, I guess I'll go back and eat dinner," and his field never becomes irrigated. So that's showing that if you don't have a determined attitude, then you'll never renounce. Another meaning of laughter is divine play. God sometimes has a playful mood. In his Maya, there's vidya and avidya, lightness and darkness. But when one becomes God-realized, then these opposing forces are realized to be just pieces of God's play. Sri Ramakrishna describes God's play in two anecdotes. He said, God laughs on two occasions. He laughs when two brothers divide land between them. They put a string across the land and they say to each other, "This side is mine and that side is yours." God laughs and says to himself, "Why, this whole universe is mine," and about a little clod they say, "This side is mine and that side is yours." God laughs again when the physician says to the mother weeping bitterly because of her child's desperate illness, "Don't be afraid, mother, I shall cure your child." The physician does not know that no one can save the life of the child if God wills that he should die. At other times, laughter is play. When one realizes God, it is explained that there's no longing for other things. But even when someone becomes God-realized, they can remain on earth and enact life. he gives this example of when a child is longing for mother's milk, the child will keep on crying and crying, but as soon as the child is nursed, then it stops crying, and then it feels happy. But even when it joyously drinks the milk from its mother, it's true that while drinking, the child sometimes plays and laughs. Here, Sri Ramakrishna is explaining that even God-realized souls can be on earth and impart their knowledge. And that's why he's explaining that he's still on earth to this person. At other times, Sri Ramakrishna himself is playing with his devotees by hinting at his divine nature. He asks his devotees, "Have you seen anyone else resembling me, any pandit or holy man?" And a devotee answers, "God has created you with his own hands, whereas he has made others by machine. All others he has created according to law." And this makes Sri Ramakrishna laugh and say to the others, "Listen to what he is saying." And this is because he realizes that we only understand a part of him, and we approach the truth every day. So I hope that today we can remember a bit of what it feels like to be around Sri Ramakrishna. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, Sara. That was a very sweet speech, bringing out how Sri Ramakrishna's laughter can have so many different important significances for us. Now, I will request our next speaker, Dr. Mahendra to deliver his speech. Well, to introduce him, one can be, introduced in various different ways, different aspects of one's life. If suppose his students go to introduce him, they will tell about his proficiency as a mathematician and a teacher and so forth. Suppose his wife goes to introduce him, she will tell another aspect of his life. Let us not go into it. It is but how I discovered his personality very interesting. It is, I remember, all of you must have read in Bible, Jesus says that not the one who says, "O Lord," but the one who does my Father's work is the first in the heaven. So here is the man who silently does the work of Lord. And the work is stupendous, unparalleled. I have not seen any other institution in whole United States as he has built. He and his wife has very painstakingly built it, and so many people have wholeheartedly joined in that work. But he has been the starter of it, the inspiration of it, backbone of it. That organization is Vivekananda Vidyapith, Wayne, New Jersey, where the young minds, children, they are brought in, they are trained in this doctrine, in this great teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother Sarda Devi and Swami Vivekananda, along with many other important ideas of Vedanta, which is a very difficult work. It is to tell the adults who come to a class something like that is one thing. To bring children, first of all, it's not easy. Then, even if you succeed somehow in bringing them, to keep them focused is still more difficult. to keep them interested in all these teachings and growing their interest is a very difficult task. And he has been doing it with such great dedication. He is an avid student and practitioner of the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, Vivekananda and Vedanta. He regularly gives also the scripture classes at the Vivekananda Vidyapit, apart from giving the classes, which is Saturday and Sunday, to the children at the Vidyapit. And although we had him here, come here a few times, but this is the first occasion, friends, when we are having him as a speaker for this symposium. So, friends, without saying much about him, let us hear him, Dr. Mahendra Jani.
ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Revered Swami Yogatmanji and friends, thank you, Swamiji, for your kind words. And I sincerely thank Swamiji for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this celebration, special celebration, and share my thoughts on the life and teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna's life and teachings is like an ocean of nectar. As we know, that we open any page of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and we find a profound truth and really an inspiring message for our spiritual path. So same with his life and teachings. You know, in the morning I heard our special worship is performed. And in every worship, the beginning comes with achmanam, that is to purify oneself. So, this sharing my thoughts, I consider as an achmanam from the ocean of nectar of Sri Ramakrishna's life and teachings. Let's go back in the history in 18th century and early 19th century in India. And let's see the drawback of Sri Ramakrishna. Swami Nikhilananda writes that it was a twilight of Muslim rule. There were anarchy and confusion in all spheres. Superstitions, practices dominated the religious life of people. Rites and rituals passed for the essence of spirituality. Greedy priests became the custodians of heaven. True philosophy was supplanted by dogmatic opinions. The Pandits took delight in vain polemics. In 1757, English traders laid the foundation of British rule in India. Indian people were amazed by the military power and political acumen of the new ruler. In the wake of the merchants came the English educators, social reformers, and Christian missionaries. At several places, educational institutions and churches were established. In early 19th century, the first effect of the drought on the educated Hindus was a complete effacement from their minds of the time-honored beliefs and traditions of the Hindu society. The youngsters and elite people came to believe that there was no transcendental truth. Many of things are true now, even. The world perceived by the senses was the only truth. God and religion were considered as illusions of the uneducated mind. People thought that true knowledge could only be derived from the analysis of the nature. Atheism and agnosticism became the fashion of the day. The youth of India, taught in English schools, took malicious delight in openly breaking the customs and traditions of their society. The images and rituals of the Hindu religion were ridiculed and considered as relics of a barbarous age. The minds of the young and elite people were persuaded to believe that the teachings of saints and seers of India were the cause of the downfall of the country. And the Vedas and Puranas and the scriptures were filled with superstitions. So this is the backdrop when Sri Ramakrishna was born and came to Calcutta. At that time, the elder brother Ram Kumar asked his younger brother, because he was not interested in education. So he asked, why don't you educate yourself? And this young brother Gadadhar said, brother, what shall I do with a mere bread-winning education? I would rather acquire that wisdom which will illumine my heart and give me satisfaction forever. This boy stood against the mad rush to go to schools and colleges and get educated and consider themselves as elite and higher. But his answer echoed the Rishi from the Mundaka Upanishad. We know that a great Rishi, Shaunaka, he was the head of some university, and he came, approached, and asked Angiras, Kasminnu bhagavo vidyate sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. What is it by knowing which we know everything? And then the Rishi said, Angiras Rishi said, Dve vidye veditavye itihasma yad brahmavido vadanti paracha eva aparacha. There are two kinds of knowledge, and that's all Brahmavid, they say, knower of Brahman. That there is a superior knowledge and there is inferior knowledge. And then he explains what is inferior knowledge. Rugveda, Yajurveda, Samveda, all the Vedas, Shiksha, Kalpayo, Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Chando, Jyotisham, all the branches, all the Vedas and all the branches, the knowledge of all of them is inferior. Whatever has been grasped by the senses, that is inferior. So what is the superior knowledge? Atha para yaya tad aksharam adigamyate, by which the imperishable can be known. And that is the superior knowledge. So this Gadadhar, he wanted that superior knowledge. And he plunged into it. You know, if you ask students and give reasons for not to go to school and college, they will be very happy. They don't want to do homework and all this, and avoid any work. But Gadadhar didn't mean that. He really meant to get that supreme knowledge. And then he plunged in, as we know, into spiritual practices. Every day, 24/7, Ma, Ma, Ma. I want to reveal you. I want to realize you. Please reveal to me. And when he will see a sunset, he will roll on the ground crying, another day passed, and I have not realized thee. Oh mother, are you real? Or are you an imagination? Is that just all poetry? I want to realize you, because in the past people have done that, and why not me? And then that agony of realization of Mother of the Universe became so intense. As we know, one day he was sitting in front of Mother and he saw a sword and he thought, what's the use of this life? Without getting that highest knowledge, that realization, the highest truth. And he was about to end his life. And Mother revealed. Mother showered her grace. And then he found Mother is real, living, filled with consciousness. And slowly he found that everything disappearing, the building, the temple, people, and covered with that consciousness. He said that I didn't know what is outside. I had no consciousness of outside. But inside, there was a constant bliss within. And that was the realization. After that, we know that Bhairavi Brahmani came and he made her as Guru. And then she was well versed in Tantra. So he practiced, and within a short time, they say he mastered all the aspects of Tantra. And Bhairavi Brahmani could not believe, because she knew so far that anyone who mastered 3 or 4 aspects of Tantra is great. And here is someone who has mastered everything in a short time. She declared that he is no one else but incarnation of God. He had that Mahabhava, which is not possible for any ordinary human being. And Mathur Babu did not believe. He had a great respect for Sri Ramakrishna. But then he said, incarnation of God, I don't believe. Bhairavi Brahmani said, ask all your Pandits from Calcutta, and I can prove it to them. So Mathur Babu arranged. Vaishnava Charan came with few of his scholarly people. Pandit Gauri came. Ramakrishna Dev sitting, Mathur Babu sitting. And Bhairavi Brahmani proved that all the characters which have been described in the scriptures for incarnation, she has seen in Sri Ramakrishna. And then Vaishnava Charan said, yes, he is, he accepted. And Gauri he was not happy that just the incarnation of God. So he said, no, he is a mine of spirituality, the dynamo of spirituality, whose one fraction becomes an incarnation of God. And Ramakrishna laughingly said, oh, you beat the Vaishnavacharya. He said something more. As you heard the laughter of Sri Ramakrishna. Then we know that he made Totapuri as his guru. Before we move to that, I can say that what he had personal experience on his own, that was confirmed by Bhairavi Brahmini. It was not a hallucination, an imagination of his mind. What he experienced matched up with what has been described in the scriptures. Totapuri came, we know, within a short time. He established himself in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. It was not easy for him. As soon as he sat for meditation, the blissful face of Mother, whom he worshipped all the time, used to come. But then he wanted to go beyond. So he himself said, I took the sword of Viveka, discrimination, destroyed the form, and my mind soared high in the infinite and became one. Totapuri could not believe that what he practiced for 40 years, within short time, this person merges into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And for a long time, he had a hard time to bring his mind down to the normal level. So, he practiced afterwards, we know, all the aspects of Hinduism. He practiced Muslim religion. He had a vision of Allah and Christ. And then he found that all this path lead to the same God. There is no need to fight on the name of God. He broke all the barriers of religions and all the barriers that dividing all the different people in Hinduism. In his room, all people were welcomed. People who believe God with form, God without form. Those who worship Shakti, those who worship Shiva, Vishnu, all kinds of people, young and old, they were all welcome. As we know that M came and then asked Gurunde, the doors were closed, is the holy man still there? He said, yes. Just go right in. Because he thought, oh, you cannot just walk in, you have to knock the door. But she said, just go right in. Is he meditating like doing Sandhya worship? No, nothing like that. Is he reading a lot of books? He said, no, all the books are on his tongue. Can you believe? That one who was cleaning Vrinde even knew who Ramakrishna is. And that's, I think, wonderful, even a picture of Sri Ramakrishna. Now Mother wanted for Sri Ramakrishna to guide the people. And then we see one by one all the people come. Even I can quickly go through a few. That first of all, Mathura Babu did not believe that he is incarnation of God. And then he was sitting and thinking, and Ramakrishna is pacing back and forth. And he saw his two ideas, like one side Mother walking, other side Shiva is walking. And he couldn't believe. He thought, am I dreaming or what? But he saw that, and then he went and bowed down. Master, what did I see? He said, keep it to yourself. Don't talk to anyone. Then Rani Rasmani, very powerful queen, twice Britishers have to bow down to her. And that Rani Rasmani used to like worship of Sri Ramakrishna. So she used to go, and then she asked Sri Ramakrishna to sing. Ramakrishna is singing. In between, found out Rani's mind is somewhere else. Went and slept. Anyone else would have been dead by then, by the guards of Rani. But Rani said no, accepted the mistake. You can see that what respect and power Sri Ramakrishna had in teaching, that when you sit there in meditation room, prayer room, you focus. That you sit here and thinking about other things. Then we go further, Keshav Chandra Sen, when he met, and says his tail has been dropped off. Can you imagine a illiterate person going to well-educated, elite, respected in India and England? And then people laughed. Keshav said, no, there must be some meaning behind it. And then, when asked, he said, you know, tadpole, when the tail drops off, then the frog can live both in the water and land. So Keshav can live in the world and also live in the spiritual world. And then Keshav Chandra Sen had a deep down love for Mother Kali. But by the western wind or this education, he had that Brahmo Samaj, even Narendra and all, asked them to take a vow not to enter into any temple and bow down to any images. But Keshav had a deep down love for Mother Kali. Ramakrishna Dev saw that. And somehow he kindled that love. And Keshav has to get out from Brahma Samaj, has to start something new called Navavidhan. And then he wrote about Sri Ramakrishna. And through that, many youngsters and many people of Calcutta, they got attracted. Here are all the elite people. Here is one illiterate person, not properly clothed, speaking in a village Bengali, a slight, like some delightful stammer. But all these scholars and all elite people have to bow down to him. Bankim Chandra came. He asked, what is the duty of human being? He said, oh, what else? Eat, drink, and sex life. And he said, woof, you are very saucy. Day and night, what you do, that comes out from your mouth. You belch what you eat. You know what he said? The goal of human life is God realization. Getting this supreme knowledge, highest knowledge. And then they said, after the talk, Bankim Chandra walked out and he forgot even his shawl. His mind was somewhere else. So one by one, people came. One another, Pratap Majumdar, a great, again, scholar after the Keshav Chandra Sen. He came and he said that what is common in me and in him, I am like a Europeanized, educated in the Western literature. And then he said, civilized, self-centered, semi-skeptical, so-called educated reasoner, and he, a poor, illiterate, unpolished, half-idolatrous, friendless Hindu devotee. But he said that by his childlike bhakti, by his strong conceptions of ever-ready motherhood helped to unfold God as our mother in our minds wonderfully. That's what he wrote. So one by one, people came. Dr. Sarkar, we read in the Gospel how that intense discussions went on. At one point she said, listen to me. He said, why should I listen to you? Slave of lust and greed. He's a great scientist. And he checked his samadhi that he had no outer consciousness, but the face beaming with bliss. And that was not written in any science book. So, I think what he did, he brought a spiritual revolution. A person without going to school or college, attaining that highest knowledge, and somehow mother wanted to speak the truth as he did. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, he went, and how nicely approached, he said, oh, I used to see canals and all, today I saw an ocean. And Ishwar Chandra said, take some salty water then. And then the talks go on. And then he said, everything has been defiled by the mouth. The word is juta. When you eat something and have leftover, that's called juta. Everything has been defiled, became juta, except Brahman. Because Brahman cannot be defined by the mouth. And Ishwar Chandra said, wow, I learned something new today. He asked, that is God in all, then why there are differences? And he said, the manifestations are different. God is residing in all, but manifestations are different. Otherwise, why we came to see you? Have you grown two horns? We came to see you because the power of God is manifested more in you. So very simple teachings. He brought out the great profound truths in very, very simple, an analogy that people can understand, they see it. I said, this world is like water, in the mind is milk, and they mix, the mind get lost. All the resources of the mind and everything. So, make from the milk, you make a butter, and the butter can float. And then, if you want to cut jackfruit, you put the oil on the hand before you cut. So how simple examples that in the world, if you don't develop love for God and have spirituality, then it will be very difficult to live in the world. A little joy, lots of sorrows, up and down, success, failure, more failures than success. Few desires are fulfilled and thousands of unfulfilled desire running around in the mind. So in this world, if you want to really live happily, then develop love for God. All the youngsters came afterwards. Narendra fought with him because he wanted to believe every word of Sri Ramakrishna. Wanted to make sure that what he's saying is true. And then he taught Narendra, he guided. And amazing that a great teacher, that each individual youngster has been guided differently. It wasn't like one quote that fits to Jack and Jane and Jill. Each one guided differently. So, Narendra, he guided, and he told, what do you want in life? He said, I want to remain in samadhi all the time, seeing Sri Ramakrishna. He said, there is something higher than this. This is not the highest thing. You see God in all and serve them. And that is higher. And then he said, not daya, jive daya. I said, no, seva. Do unselfish service, seeing God in all. And Narendra was so impressed. He said, if I get a chance, I'll go to world, every door knock and bring this message, which is happening now. I can go on and on. It's infinite ocean of life and teachings. There are many great teachings, sometimes like 3 gunas. He gave these 3 thieves in the forest, so simple. That person was caught by 3 thieves, and they robbed him. One of them said, kill him. The other one said, no, tie him to the tree. Let him die on his own fate. And then they tied and left. And third one, who didn't do anything, came and said, you are suffering so much. Let me relieve you. And then I'll show you the path out of this forest. And then he said, come, my family will be happy. He said, no, I'm also a thief. So, how nicely he put, the tamas, the first 3 gunas, they rob, especially rajas and tamas. And tamas wants to kill, destroy the person. Rajas ties the person. Sattva relieves you. But then one has to go beyond 3 gunas. Also a simple thing, like I thought he must have seen that he said a salt doll went to measure the depth of the ocean. And everybody laughed and said, wow, what an imagination. And then merge into it. So the mind going, searching for Atman, infinite, like a salt doll, made out of Brahman, again merges with the Brahman, cannot come back. So, all these teachings are so great. Any part of his life and any teaching we take, profound truth explained so simple way, in simple words. But one thing I can tell, that I heard from Swamis, and first time I thought, what? They said, if you want to understand Sri Ramakrishna, then read Vivekananda. And people said, the gospel is so simple. And Swami Vivekananda's talks, you have to use your brain and, how come that? One, I can tell that Ramakrishna said, cry for God. Who cries for God? People shed tears for their family members and friends. Who cries for God? If you cry for 3 days, sincerely, you will see God. Some people, like I found one of them at least, like sitting and crying. And it's not just crying is enough. Swami Vivekananda said that the transformation has to come. And some people like try, like to cry. It has to come naturally. That restlessness has to come sincerely. So, if you want to understand Sri Ramakrishna, great teaching, simple, but we have to understand from those who are sincerely practicing, for the Swamis and Vivekananda had said, and with the proper guidance, we can understand. So his main teaching, I think, the goal of human life is to realize God, and we have to make all efforts to realize that. So thank you.
Many thanks Dear Mahendra Jani, it was a wonderful talk. In a very short time, he has given a very good summary, essential aspects of the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna. In our language, we say that, well, this writer or this orator has accomplished the task of filling an ocean in a jar. So condensed it into a jar. So it is, that is what he has very skillfully done. So here concludes today's this symposium. There will be a few announcements and a concluding song. Next Sunday, in this month there will not be any more Sunday lectures. It will be only, you have to wait till next month. It is, and the topic is, did Sri Ramakrishna renounce desires? That is the topic for discussion next Sunday. The other programs during the week, like the Tuesday and Friday evening 7:30 p.m. classes, will go on as usual. Tuesdays the topic is Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and Fridays it is Jnana Yoga by Swami Vivekananda, and other daily meditation and other things they will go on. On coming Saturday, there will be, as every first Saturday we try to have, a day-long meditation from 11 till 7 o'clock in the evening. So if you like, you can do come for that. And I'll conclude with the closing prayers. And after that we will have a closing song on Sri Ramakrishna. And then today's program will conclude after having a Sankirtan on Sri Ramakrishna, 108 or a little more chants on Sri Ramakrishna. And then there will be the prasad distribution. Then the program will be actually concluded. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Chinese faith, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahur Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. So our lead singers, Abhijit and Sukalyan, please come up here. And Anirban.
राम कृष्ण नाम गामना सदा राम कृष्ण राम गामना लगा लगा लगन चरणन में मगन बना जामना लगा लगन चरणन में मगन बना जामना लगा लगन चरणन में मगन बना जामना नाम गामना सदा राम कृष्ण नाम गामना प्रभु पूर्ण काम है परम शांति धाम है शुभ कर चिर सुंदर नयनाभिराम है प्रभु पूर्ण काम है परम शांति धाम है शुभ कर चिर सुंदर नयनाभिराम है जान सत्य एकमेव वही यह जग सपना मना सत्य एकमेव वही यह जग सपना मना नाम गामना सदा राम कृष्ण नाम गामना नाथ करे मोहनाश भरे हृदय में प्रकाश हरे कर्म पाश दूर करे सकल त्रास नाथ करे मोहनाश भरे हृदय में प्रकाश हरे कर्म पाश दूर करे सकल त्रास उनकी कृपा दृष्टि मिटा दे समूल भव त्रिशामना कृपा दृष्टि मिटा दे समूल भव त्रिशामना कृपा दृष्टि मिटा दे समूल भव त्रिशामना नाम गामना सदा राम कृष्ण नाम गामना वही परम धाम निधान अकारण करुणावान सहज करे नत जन को परम पद प्रधान वही परम सुख निधान अकारण करुणावान सहज करे नत जन को परम पद प्रदान वही कमल चरण बना शरण तज दे भ्रम नामना कमल चरण बना शरण तज दे भ्रम नामना कमल चरण बना शरण तज दे भ्रम नामना नाम गामना सदा राम कृष्ण नाम गामना लगन चरणन में मगन बना जामना लगा लगन चरणन में मगन बना जामना नाम गामना सदा राम कृष्ण नाम गामना सदा राम